Hello everyone, welcome to the first video in this brand new channel, and today I'm gonna show you guys how to draw a very simple seashell. And I know it may look hard, but actually it's really easy once you get the hang of it. So I'm just using a pencil, an eraser, and an ink pen, and that's basically all I'm using to draw the shell. So I started out with a simple sketch. I drew a few overlapping circles on the top, and then I basically drew the seashell shape that kind of just looked like a cocoon. But then I erased it and then I retraced it so that I could give it a little finer detail, and perhaps I thought I could make it look a bit more like a seashell. And it was just some basic sketching techniques that I used. I just basically used a bunch of circles. And then I started drawing these lines inside the shell to give a little bit more detail, because inside the shell there were these lines and there were also these little patterns on the shell that I tried to simplify and make it easier for you guys to be able to follow along too. I shaded it in a little bit with my pencil, and then I added the details. I actually was glad I made this decision of actually drawing the lines, because they will come and help. They will come and help a little bit later. I added some more of those details, a little bit above and a little bit under the middle and most important part of the shell, and it was starting to come all together. And then basically, let me go ahead and talk about the pencil that I used. It's the Oxygel pencil, and it's the thin version. And I really like it because it has a really nice and comfortable grip. And the micron pen that I'm using is actually, I think, the 08 micron pen. Or yeah, I think it was the 08 one. And now I'm just basically tracing the outside of the shell and making sure that sometimes when I trace, I add a little bit more detail than what I actually drew. So that's what happened right here. I actually made sure the micron was dry before I started adding in all of the coloring, which I'm using Prismacolor markers, as you'll see in later. I added some of those little dots, and it was really easy for me to do the shell because the shapes are really simple, and there were lots of things that were part of the shell that I was used to drawing, like the little dots kind of look like the stars that I was drawing on a painting I did before, and I was really used to drawing them, so it just looked good naturally. I'm sure that if you practice, it will be very simple to do, and you will have no trouble drawing this at all. You can draw this on a card and give it to a friend, whatever you want to do. I think it will be great for like a little gift. And I only did this 2 times. The first time I did it, it turned out way better than I expected, and the second time I did it, it turned out like how you see here in the video. So I'm kind of using this really rapid dotting technique to shade in the shell a little bit, and you can kind of see the shadows of the shell. I don't know what the shell is. I don't know what type of shell it is. I found it online in my first drawing, and I kind of just simplified it and drew it, and then I really don't know what type of shell this is. I just hope that you really find this video relaxing, and one of my best hopes is that you can draw along with me and do your own stuff with me, so that we can be like, I don't know, art buddies, and you might even feel a little bit more productive. Okay, so part 3 was coloring, and as I've said, I was using the Prismacolor markers. These were really, really expensive, so I actually couldn't find a use for them. So when I was making this video, I just kind of flipped through my art supplies, and I kind of chose between what supplies I really wanted to use, And then I came across these markers, which blended really well together. So I just thought, okay, why not use these markers? Here you can see me making a color palette, and two of the colors were like exactly the same. As you can see me doing the two colors right here. One of them was a mocha dark, and I ended up using that color instead of the darker one. I don't know why. So first of all, I colored the top part and inside of the shell, where I used a really light brown color, and then I kind of made the shadows of the inside of the shell with the marker. So it kind of, I purposely didn't blend it in because I felt like I really wanted to make it a bit more layered and texture feeling. And then on the second layer, I kind of, okay, here I zoomed in the camera. On the second layer, I just kind of blended the two colors together, and here's where the lines come in. I felt like the lines really helped with the blending because you can't really tell where the first color ends and where the second one starts, and that was really amazing because I love how it's so blended, and it's really natural once you finish the entire shell. And then you can see me here for the second part that I'm coloring with a really dark color. And then at first I was kind of scared. I didn't want to color with that color. So I added this little quote, like this little saying on the bottom, M's tips, my tips. I was really afraid and I kind of messed up a little bit on that part, but it's totally okay if you do that. You can always try to fix it or just go with it, because sometimes when I try to fix my mistakes, they end up worse than they actually are. So it's okay. Next time you learn from your mistakes and you draw a seashell that's better than before, or not a seashell in your case. And then, so it was actually really perfectly blended. So I went up to the first layer again and I added a little bit of dark color. And then on the bottom, I started coloring that little round piece of seashell. And at first it looked kind of weird when I colored the dark color, so I added a little bit more dots, and then it was perfectly fine. I also colored the bottom a little bit, and there we go. Our seashell is completely done colored. And I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I hope it was calming and relaxing. I know this time has been stressful, and I don't really have that much else to say other than thank you guys so much for watching this video.